All right, guys, so this is Math 1010 extra credit review for the midterm, okay? All right, so here we go with question 1. Find the difference between domain and practical domain. Okay, so if this were your problem, like that, okay, what is the domain of that graph? Well, if I graphed it, then this is just a line that looks like that. And what's the domain of that line? Well, if you travel from left to right, it's everything, okay? But then if I tell you in the problem that X stands for the number of months and that Y stands for like how much money you have in savings, and if you're only going to save money for 12 months, well, now the practical domain is not all real numbers. So you could save money for 0 months up to 12 months. And you're going to save money throughout the entire time. So that's going to go from 0 to 12 like that. Okay? So the difference is the domain just looks at the equation or the information, but the practical domain takes into account what the values stand for. Okay? Okay, question number 2. Write a verbal statement that described how much, what the amount of reimbursement, how it's determined. Okay, so you have a job, 50 miles from your office, you're reimbursed 51 cents per mile. So 51 cents per mile. Write a verbal statement that describes how much of reimbursement is determined. Okay, so you're within 50 miles. So the answer is you take, I'm going to say multiply the number, make sure you're working, you guys, okay? Multiply the number of miles traveled by 0.51. That's it. Okay, and that gives you the total amount of reimbursement. Question 3A, identify the input. So guys, input is the X, okay? And so you've got your two variables are miles and pay. So what changes first? Does the mile change, therefore the pay changes? Or does the pay change, therefore the miles changes? The miles determine the pay. The more miles you go, the more 51 cents you get. Okay, thank you. So X stands for miles. Okay, that is the independent. And then B, find the practical domain. So domain is X. So you could go 0 miles, and the most you could go is 50, so it looks like that, okay? Question C, the practical range. Well, if you don't go any miles, you don't get any money. The Y stands for money. If you go 50, then it's 50 times 0.51. I got to grab a calculator, 2 seconds.
Okay.
Thank you, honey. See you later. So 50 times 0.51 is 25.5. So that's the most amount of money, because Y is pay and range is Y. That's the most amount of money you'd get paid. That's if you go 50 miles. Okay? Okay, question number 4. You and 3 friends work at a job, and each of you are receiving different hourly wages based upon experience. Does this scenario, where the input is the number of hours worked, and output, so X is hours, Y, which is output, which is your money, is it a function? It is not a function, because if, say this is 10 and 20 and this is 30, and Bob makes 10 bucks an hour, and then right here in green, Shelly makes 20 an hour, and then Mary makes that, it's not a function, because you're going to work 1 hour. And if you're doing all 3 people on one graph, it's not going to pass the vertical line test, okay? So that's the why not. Okay, question 5, multiply. So I cannot FOIL this and that is because I have a binomial times a trinomial. So I'm going to take that x and distribute it, and I get 4x to the third minus x to the second plus 3x. Distribute the negative 5, and I get negative 20x to the second plus 5x minus 15. And then I clean it up, so that's 4x to the third minus 21x to the second plus 8x minus 15. When you do this midterm, you guys, and you get your answers, please box or highlight your final answer so it's very clear what you're trying to say. Okay, question 6. Here's your problem, and they're just asking you to simplify and to write your answer with positive exponents, okay? So 18 over 3 is a 6 on the top. 3x is on top and 6x is on bottom. You have more on bottom. How many more? 3 more. 9y's on the top and 7 on the bottom. You have more y's on top. How many more? 7 more. And then z's, 5 on top and 4 on bottom. You have more on the top. How many more? 1 more. Okay? Okay, question number 7. So I'm raising the first guy to the second, and then I'm going to multiply it by that and by that. Okay, well, x to the 0 is a 1. 1 times negative 2 is a negative 2, so that's gone. Okay, then power to a power, negative 4 times 2 is a negative 8. That's going to be multiplied by 3x to the 5th and times a negative 2. This x to the negative 8th, I'm actually going to bring it down and make it a positive. So on the top I have a negative 6. Now look at your x's, 5 on top, 8 on bottom. You have more on bottom. How many more? 3 more. Okay. Question 8, 4x to the 0, and then in parentheses, 4x to the 0. So on this guy, x is 0 is a 1, 1 times 4 is 4. This guy, the whole thing is raised to the 0, so that's 1. So my explanation would be, on 4x to the 0, no parentheses. The only thing raised to the 0 is the x. And on the other one, the whole thing is raised to the 0, therefore the second one is a 1. Okay? Question number 9. Okay, here's number 9. Okay, so you have a negative 32 to the negative 3/5. So the first thing I notice is the negative exponent. So it's going to be 1 over. This negative right here is still going to be there, but the exponent becomes a positive. Okay, now I'm going to write that as the 5th root of negative 32. Now, the 5th root of negative, I still have to cube it. But you guys, if you go 5 seconds, and then you hit the power button, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons down, put in your negative 32, you get a negative 2. So remember, if it's nice, then you go outside. So I'm going to put that right there. So this is 1 over a negative 2 to the third. That's a negative 2 times a negative 2 times a negative 2, which is a negative 8. So I'm going to put my 8 there, move my negative to the top, and I'm done. Okay? Okay, question number 10. So this is x to the negative 1/5 raised to the negative 1/3. So when I do power to a power, hey guys, make sure you're working. Some of you are talking more than working. Power to a power, you multiply. So a negative times a negative is a positive. And then you go 1 times 1 is 1. 5 times 3 is 15. And they want it in radical form. So that would be the 15th root of x to the first, and that's your answer. Okay? Question 11. I'm multiplying those, which means I need to add the exponents, but I can't add the exponents until I have a common denominator. So 4 times 3 is 12, 4 times 3 is 12, 1 times 3 is 3, 3 times 4 is 12, 2 times 4 is 8. Then I'm adding those, so 8 plus 3 is 11 twelfths. Read the directions, they want it in radical form. So that's the 12th root of x to the 11th, and that's it. Okay, number 12, same idea, but this time I'm going to subtract these things. So I can't subtract them until I have a common denominator. My common denominator is going to be 15. Okay, so 3 times 5 is 15, 2 times 5 is 10, 5 times 3 is 15, 2 times 3 is 6. So I have more on the top. How many more do I have? Well, 10 15 subtract 6 15 is 4 15ths. And again, they want it in radical form. So that's the 15th root of x to the 4th. Box or highlight your answer. Okay, question 13, again, same idea, write it in radical form. So it's the 15th root of y to the 4th. You should look if you can simplify. I don't have enough y's, so can't do anything. Okay, question 14, 7th root of this. So guys, this is going to have an exponent, that's going to have an exponent, that's going to have an exponent. So the x is to the first, so you have an x to the 1 over 7. And then you have a y to the 5 over 7. And then you have a z to the 2 over 7. That's your answer. That's all you do. Okay? Question 15. Find the rate of change and determine which ones are linear. Okay? So here's the first one, 1, 3, 5, and 7. And here, 30, 90, 150, and 210. So this goes up by 2, this goes up by 2, this goes up by 2. If this goes 2, 2, 3, it actually could still be linear, or 2, 2, anything different. Those numbers don't have to be the same, but what has to be the same, you guys, is when you divide the differences. Let me show you what I'm talking about. 30 plus 60 is 90. 90 plus 60 is 150. 150 plus 60 is 210. So I can tell right now it's linear, because the numbers are all the same, all the 2's, all the 60's. If these weren't the same, you guys, but if you did this, 60 over 2, and then the next guy, 60 over 2, and then this guy, 60 over 2, well, those are all 30's. So even though they may not be 60's over 2's, if they all reduce to the same number, then it's linear. Okay, let's do another one. So here's the next table. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, because maybe that last little thing I said didn't quite make perfect sense. So I'm going to show you. Okay, so this right here, add 3, add 3, add 3. If those are not the same, that doesn't mean it's not linear. So this one right here, add 25. 65 plus 25 would be 90, and so that doesn't matter, doesn't match. So this would be, is that 30, 6, 7, 8? No, it'd be 20. So it doesn't match. So this is not linear. Okay? Okay, let's do the next one. Okay, so you've got 2, 5, 10, and 20. And these guys are 7, 16, 31, and 61. Okay, so this goes up by 3, this goes up by 5, and this goes up by 10. Does not mean it's not linear. This one right here goes up by 9. Then this one goes up by 15. And this one goes up by whatever that is, 30. So this is actually showing you exactly what I wanted to. So slope is change in y over change in x. So go 9 over 3. The next one is 15 over 5. The next one is 30 over 10. Well, this is a 3, and this is a 3, and this is a 3. So all those ratios are the same. So is it linear? Yes, that was exactly what I wanted to happen. Okay, so that's that. Okay, here is question 16. Okay, give an example of an equation that represents a vertical line, and what is the slope of this line? Okay, so vertical is this. Okay, so let's say that was -2. It crosses the x-axis at -2. So there's an equation, okay? What's the slope of that line? Remember the motorcycle story I told you? The guy said he rode up the mountain, went straight back down, and came down like that. And you say, yeah, whatever, that didn't happen. Another word for impossible means undefined. So that's the slope of that line, okay? Question 16b. Give an example of a horizontal line. Okay, so here's your xy axis. So horizontal would maybe be something like that. Okay, and let's say that was like up 3. I'm just making this up. What axis does it cross? Y. Where does it cross the y-axis? 3. Remember the motorcycle story? If the guy's trying to impress you and he says, yeah, I drove my motorcycle like that, that is not impressive or difficult, and so it would be 0 is your slope. 0 impressed. Okay. Okay, 17a. Suppose the distance in miles from home on the 3rd day of your trip is represented by this equation. Okay, so I'm going to say d of t is my y, and that is distance. They already told me that. Okay, and then my x is a t, and t represents the number of hours that you drive that day. So number of hours that day. So what is the slope of this line? Okay, so part A, the slope is right there. So it's 65. Now you have to be really careful and you have to do units. And you guys, it's always y per x. So you have to say distance. Well, distance is weird to say. I'm sure that this is in miles, right? Yeah, it says miles. So instead of distance, I'm going to say miles per hour. Okay. Question B, what is the practical meaning of the slope? It means that I will drive 65 miles each hour, or 65 miles per hour. Okay. Question C, what is the vertical intercept of the line? Okay, so vertical is like this. Okay, it crosses the x-axis. So it's basically asking for the x-intercept. So you let y be 0. So if I go into this equation right here and let my y, which is my d of t, be a 0, I get 0 equals 65t plus 310. And this is not going to make sense. Actually, oh, you know what? I did horizontal. Horizontal's x, y. Yeah, so it's actually the other one. So vertical crosses the x-axis. Yeah, I did that. So you're going to let y be a 0. No. Vertical is y. You let x be a 0. Sorry, guys. So that is that. Sorry. Okay, so that's basically just asking me what's the y-intercept. Well, that's the y-intercept right there. So it's 0, 310. You have to write it as an ordered pair. What does it mean? It means when 0 hours have traveled, because that's my x, I've gone 310 miles, which is kind of strange. But basically it means I traveled 310 miles before the beginning of that day, okay? So I'm going to say when the day begins, how about if we say it like that? When the day begins, comma, I am 310 miles from home, because that's how far I drove the previous days. Okay, question 18. Functions can be represented in 4 ways: numerically, graphically, symbolically, and verbally. For each of the following, one way of representing the functions given, give it in the other ways. Okay, so let's do example A. So basically, for graphically, they want a graph. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the water level is going to go, there's 5. And there's 10, and we can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to say time, and then we're going to say water level. Okay, so after 2 minutes, the water level is 4, so that would be here. After 3 minutes, the water level is 6, so that's here. After 4, it's 8, and after 5, it's 10. Okay, they didn't really explain this, but I certainly think that this is going to be linear. So my slope would be right 1 up 2, so this is going to be down 1 left 2, and it's not going to be perfect because I don't have graph paper, but that's basically it. Okay, symbolically looks like this. So we need an equation. So I'm going to go 2, 4. First of all, I'm going to see if it's linear. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Over here is 4, 6, 8, and 10. So on the left, I go up by 1s. On the right, I go up by 2s. So it's totally linear. Okay, so it's going to be y equals. This goes up by 2. This goes up by 1. So the slope is 2 over 1, which is a 2. So it's y equals 2x. Now I just have to find the y-intercept. If I'm going up by 2, then 1 would be 2, and 0 would be 0. So I don't have to do anything. There's my equation right there. Y equals 2x. Because you can check it. If x is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 2 is 8, etc. And then verbally, Okay, so basically you're going to say, I start with no water, or what with a water level of 0 would be actually better because it says water level. So a water level of 0, comma, and then I'm going to say the water level increases to, it doesn't say measurement, so I'm going to just 2 inches if they said inches per minute. Okay, example B. So they give us the graph, so let's do a table. So numerically, I'm going to go 2, 150, and then I'm going to go 3, 190, and that's good enough. Those are the points A level. So symbolically, if we did an equation, this is up by 1, this is up by 40, I can tell that it's linear, right? So symbolically, it's going to be y equals 40 over 1 is a 40, so it's 40x. If you look at the graph, it looks like it hits. You know what? Let's do it more exact. I was going to guess, but let's not guess. So let's go like this. This is by 40, so this is going to be 2 or 110, and this would be 0, and then 8, no, 7. So that's 70, because this adds to give me those things. The difference is 40, and so that's it. So there's my y-intercept, so that's plus 70. Way better to do it that way. Okay, verbally, I'm just going to say it. You guys can do it. So I'm going to say you begin with a temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and each minute that passes, the temperature goes up 40 degrees. Okay, whatever it is. Maybe you're cooking or something. Okay, question C. So do a table, x, y, okay, and they give you an equation, so C equals 0.25 G, so this is going to be easy. They gave us the equation, so if x is a 0, if your G is a 0, then your cost is a 0. If your G is a 1, you get 0.25, 2 would be 0.5, etc. You can go as long as you want. Then numerically, this over here is going to be G is gallons, so this is going to be gallons, and this is going to be the cost. So I'm going to go 1, and then I'm going to go 2, and then I'm going to go 3, and then this is kind of funny, but I'm going to go 1, I'm going to call that 0.5. So 2 is 0.5, 0 is going to be 0. I know it's going to be linear because I've got that equation. Looks like that. Okay, make sure you label those axes. And then verbally, I'm just going to say it. You guys can write it. I begin with, if I don't spend any gallons, if I don't use any gallons of water, I'm not going to have any cost. And then from there, every gallon of water that I use, the price goes up 25 cents. Okay, question D. The cost of production of a type of a tablet is $100 per tablet. So your cost is $100 per tablet. But initially, I have to pay $500 just to start it up. So there's my equation. That's symbolically. So numerically, it looks like this. If I don't sell any tablets, then my cost is $500. If I sell one tablet or make one tablet, $600, 2, $700, etc. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say, here are my tablets. Here is my cost. So I'm going to go 1 and 2, and then I'll go like, it's kind of weird to go by hundreds. I'm going to go by 200s. So I'm going to go 2, 4, 6, you get the idea. So 0 is 500, which is there. 1 is 600. I know it's going to be linear. It's going to look about like that. Okay. And then this is symbolically, and I did it. Okay. So that was 18. That was kind of long. Here's 19. In words, give a real-life example of a discrete function and draw a graph. Okay, so the best one I have is the number of siblings, and then the cost, let's say the food cost in your home, okay? So if you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and the food cost, we're going to say per week, we're going to go 100, 200, 300, I'm just making this up. So one person is this, two person, I'm sure that's not accurate, but you get the idea. Well, it doesn't make sense to connect because I can't have like half a sibling or 1.8 siblings or something like that. So that's an example, okay? Question number 20. If the ordered pair 8, 3 is on G, then you say G of what equals what? Well, the X goes here, so G of 8 equals 3, okay? Question 21. So you have H of 2 equals 9, and then they tell you H of X is AX to the second plus 3X minus 9. So X is 2, Y is 9. So H of X, that's your Y. So 9 equals, if X is 2, 2 squared is 4, 4 times A is 4A. If X is 2, 2 times 3 is 6 minus 9. So that gives me 4A minus 3 equals 9. Move your 3 over. 4A equals 12. Divide, A equals 3. Done. Okay? 22. When solving a system in two equations, you get 0 equals 0. So question A, how many does it have? The answer is infinite solutions. What will the graph look like? You're going to have two lines that lie right on top of each other. Okay? Yeah, two variables, so that's it. What if you end up with 0 equals 7? Then what's the answer? Then the answer is no solution. Why not? Because 0 is not equal to 7. And what would it look like? The lines would be parallel because they're never going to cross. Okay? Question 23a. Is it a function? Yes, it is, because a vertical line drawn will only hit it once. Question B, the answer is no. Okay? Because a vertical line would hit it twice. Okay, question 24. I'm going to see how close I am. My class is in there waiting for me. 33. Okay, I'm going to go fast. Sorry. Okay, here's 24. According to the National Bar Association, from these years, the number of U.S. lawyers increased from here to here. Okay, so we're going to let X be the year, and we're going to let Y be the number of lawyers. Okay, and it says the number of lawyers is a function of years. So, yeah, that's the way we do it. Let 0 years since 1980, because it says let 0 be 1980. 1 is 1981, etc. Write the ordered pairs describing the situation. Okay, so it says in 1980, that would be X is 0, you get 575. And then in 2013, so that would be 33 years since 1980, then it's 1,268. So there are your ordered pairs. Question B, assume it's linear. Write the slope-intercept form of the equation. Okay, so let's find the slope. So it's 1268 minus 575 over 33 minus 0. So if I go 1268 minus 575, I get 693 divided by, and that is 33. So I'm going to divide that by 33, and I get 21. So my equation would be y equals, and then it's going to be 21x plus the y-intercept, which is right there, 575. That's your answer. Question C, what is the practical meaning? Well, x stands for the number of years, so I'm going to say the number of lawyers increases by 21 each year. Okay? Question D, how many will there be in the year 2000? Well, it has been 20 years since 1980. So we're going to go 21 times 20 plus 575. Okay, so go 21 times 20 plus 575, and the answer is 995 lawyers. Okay? Okay, question 25. What is the independent or the input? That's always the X, which is time. That's part A. Part B, what is the dependent or the output? That is the amount in dollars. Question C, is it a function? The answer is yes, because it passes the vertical line test. D, is it linear? No, because that is not a straight line. E, is it increasing or decreasing? It's increasing, because as you travel from left to right, it goes up. Question F, is it discrete or continuous? It is continuous. And the reason is because I connected the dots. It's not just a bunch of dots, okay? And if you think about X stands for time in years, okay, you can say I'm going to say the dollar amount can be measured between years. Hey guys, I'm not done yet, but I'm going to finish in like 10 minutes just because I feel bad if you guys have questions. So you're going to love this. This extra credit is kind of tough. So I think you're going to for sure want to do it. So in 10 minutes, I'll come in. Okay. So I got to be done in 10 minutes. Okay. Question G, find the domain and the range. Okay. So question G, if you look at the graph, it goes from 0, and it does hit 0, and it goes to forever, which is infinity. Question H, find the range. So that's your domain. This is your range. So the range, the lowest it's going to be is 900, and it does hit it, and it's going to go up to forever. Okay. Question H, how much will there be in 8 years? If you look at 8 and you go up, then it's going to be 1,600, and that is dollars. So make sure you label it. Okay. Question 26. Okay, so question 26, we never really watched this video. I was going to show you a video. So basically, if you look at diagram A, you guys, do you see how they hit in just one dot? So that is one solution. Okay, look at question B. Do you see how those 3 papers intersect in a straight line, and a straight line goes on forever? So that picture is infinite solutions. Question C, all 3 of those papers never touch in one spot, so that is no solution. D, they're all the same paper, so that is again infinite solutions. E is again hits in all 3 places, so that is infinite, or all in that line, so that's infinite solutions. And F is also no solution, because the solution is where they all 3 touch. Okay, so what they want us to do on 1, 2, 3, and 4 is they want us to go through and solve it and see what the solution is. Well, we can totally go through. I don't think I'm going to take the time to do all of these because it's taking so long and my class is waiting. But here's the first one. Okay, so I have x plus y minus z equals 5, and I have 2x plus 2y minus 2z equals 10, and I have 10x plus 10y minus 10z is equal to 50. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate my y's, and I'm going to use equations 1 and 3. Okay, so if this is 1 and this is 3, so I'm going to multiply this by a negative 10. So I'm going to have negative 10x minus 10y plus 10z equals negative 50. Then I'm going to write equation 3, 10x plus 10y minus 10z equals 50. So look what happens. Cancels, 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 cancels. So I get 0 equals 0. That's infinite solutions. Look up above. How many of those are infinite solutions? Well, it was B and D and E. So that's it. Okay? So it says solve the following of 3 systems. Blah, 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 blah. And which of the following represents a system? So that's it. Okay? If you need more on 26, just come in and get help. Okay, because I'm going to run out of time, or I might try to do it at the end. So fast forward to the end and see if it's there. It depends on how much time this takes. Okay, here's 27. So I have this. So why are these not equal to each other? Well, let's simplify that and simplify that. So the one on the left, that's 2 to the negative first times 2x to the negative third. Then I'm going to pull those down, and the 2 becomes a positive, and the x exponent becomes a positive. This guy right here, the 2 stays up, and the x comes down. So that's why they are not equal, because the 2 is not to the negative exponent on the guy on the right. Okay, question 28. Okay, the cube root of negative 64 is equal to a negative cube root of 64. That's correct, because remember that's odd and that's negative. You can just pull it out. So it would look like this. And then the cube root of 64 is 4. So you have negative 4 equals negative 4, totally works. So look over here. Negative square root of 64, square root of negative 64. Well, that's because these are even. So this is a negative 8. But a negative inside a square root is an I. So that's 8I. So my explanation would be a negative inside of an even root is imaginary. Okay, here's 29. Okay, so choose values to determine this is true or false. So I'm going to go the nth root of a plus the nth root of b is equal to the nth root of a plus b. So I want this to be easy, so I'm just going to let n be 2. And then I'm going to let a and b be perfect squares, like 4 and 25. So I'm going to go the square root of 4 plus the square root of 25 is equal to the square root of 4 plus 25. Well, the square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 25 is 5. Thus the square root of 29. Is 7 the square root of 29? No. They are not equal to each other. Okay? Question 30a. Multiply these together. Okay, so this is a cubed root of 4xy times the cube root of 9xy. So that's going to be the cube root of 9 times 4 is 36 x squared y squared. Now I'm going to break down the 36, so that's 2 times 18. 18 is 2 times 9. 9 is 3 times 3. I don't have 3 of anything, and I don't have 3 x's or 3 y's, so there's actually nothing I can do. Okay, question B. I would have to FOIL this, but I just have to F&L because they're conjugates. So 9 times 9 is 81. Then positive cube root of 2 times negative cube root of 2, that's negative cube root of 4, and there's nothing you can do to that. Okay, question C. 7 plus the square root of 3 squared. So I'm going to write it as 7 plus the square root of 3 times 7 plus the square root of 3. And I do have to do a full FOIL because they're not conjugates because the signs are different. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times the square root of 3 is 7 square root of 3. 7 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 3. Square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is 3. 49 plus 3 is 52. Plus 7 square root of 3 times 7 square root of 3 is 14 square root of 3. Yeah. There's your answer. Okay, here's question 31a. So you have 8 times the 4th root of x to the 7th minus 4x times the 4th root of x to the 3rd. So this second guy right here, I can see I'm not going to be able to pull anything out. Over here, 4 goes into 7 one time. So I will be able to pull some of those x's out and have 1. How many would be left over? 3. And now these are the same. Look, x times the 4th root of x to the 3rd. Those are all the same. So 8 minus 4 is 4. There's my answer. Okay. Here's 31b. The 15th root of the cube, 15 times the cube root of 2 minus 3 times the cube root of 54. So let's break that 54 down. So that's 2 times 27. 27 is 3 times 9. 9 is 3 times 3. So these 3 3's come out as a single 3. I meant to highlight that. So it's going to come and join that 3 that was there. So I have 15 cube root of 2. 3 times 3 is a 9 cube root of 2. They're both going to be cube root of 2. 15 minus 9 is a 6. Okay. Here's 31c. 2 times the cube root of 8x plus 2 times the cube root of 64x. So the cube root of 8 is a 2. So I'm just going to pull that out. 2 times 2 is 4 cube root of x. 64 is going to be 2 times 32. 32 is 2 times 16. 16 is 2 times 8. 8 is 2 times 4. 4 is 2 times 2. So these 3 2's come out. This highlighter won't activate. These 3 2's come out, and these 3 2's come out. And nothing's left. So I have a 2 and a 2 on the outside. Another way to say that is the cube root of 64 is a 4. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8 cube root of x. So they're like terms. They both have a cube root of x. 8 plus 4 is 12. Done. Okay, here's 32. So you have 5x over the square root of x to the 7th. So I'm just going to multiply top and bottom by the x to the 7th. So then I have 5x times the square root of x to the 7th over x to the 7th. 2 goes into 7 3 times. So I'm going to have 3 more x's out there, but I already had 1 to begin with. So I'm just going to make that a 4 right there. And then 2 goes into 7 3 times, but I have 1 remainder. So that leaves me 1 in there. And then the 5 stays on the top. 4x's over 7x's, that leaves me 3 on the bottom. And I have a square root of x on the top. Okay, here's 33a. So this one's a little different because you're dividing by a monomial. So I'm going to take that 3x to the 6th and divide everything by 3x to the 6th and then just simplify. So right here, 21 over 3 is a 7. I have more x's on top. How many more? 1. Now I'm going to do the pink one. 12 over 3 is a 4. X's just go away. Last one I have a 6. 5 on top, 6 on bottom. That leaves me 1 on the bottom and I'm done. Okay, question B. So I have 6y to the 2nd plus 0y plus 1 divided into 36y to the 4th plus 12y to the 3rd. There is no y to the 2nd, so I fill it in, plus 2y minus 1. What do I multiply by 6y squared to get 36y to the 4th? I get 6y squared. Distribute 36y to the 4th plus 0y to the 3rd plus 6y squared. Change my signs. Those cancel. I get 12y to the 3rd minus 6y to the 2nd, bring down the 2y. What do I multiply by 6y to the 2nd to get 12y to the 3rd? That's 2y. Distribute, I get 12y to the 3rd plus 0y to the 2nd plus 2y. Change my signs. Those cancel. I get a negative 6y to the 2nd. This is a 2y and a minus 2y, so I'm just going to go 0y, bring down the 1. What do I multiply by 6y the 2nd to get negative 6y the 2nd, negative 1. Negative 6y the 2nd plus 0y minus 1. Change my signs. Everything cancels, and that is my answer. Meant to highlight. My highlight won't activate. That's your answer. Okay? Okay, question C. 4r to the 2nd plus 5r plus 9 divided into 4r to the 3rd minus 3r to the 2nd minus r minus 18. What do I multiply by that to get that? That would be r. So it's 4r to the 3rd plus 5r to the 2nd plus 9r. Change my signs. Those cancel. I get negative 8r to the 2nd. That would be a minus 10r. Bring down the 18. What do I multiply by 4r squared to get a negative 8r squared? It's a negative 2. Negative 8r squared minus 10r minus 18. Change the signs. Everything cancels. No remainder. There's my answer. Okay, 34. I'm almost done, guys. Okay, here's 34. Okay. I'm just going to say what the difference is on 34. I'm not going to write it down. So they're exactly the same. The only difference is on the one that's the inequality, so the one that has the less than, if I divide by a negative, which it looks like once I get it all together, it looks like that one I will not be dividing by negative. But if I do, I have to switch the direction. That's it. Okay? Okay, here's 35. So it looks like there's a B, but there's no A, which is weird. So anyway, here's your problem. You want to get a P alone. So I'm going to subtract 3, and I get negative 7 is less than negative 2p is less than or equal to 8. Then I'm going to divide by a negative 2. So a negative over negative is a positive 7/2. I have to reverse it because I divided by a negative. Reverse that. Negative 4. That's awkward. So I'm going to switch it. The direction goes the other way. Looks like that. They want you to graph it. So it's negative 4 over here, 7/2 over here. Be very, very clear. The 4 has a closed circle. The 7/4 has an open. And interval form, you shade, or pardon me, if it's complex, you write it like that. Then they want it in interval form. That's negative 4 with a bracket to 7/2 with a parenthesis. There's your answer. Okay. Question 36. I'm just going to talk about it. So why does this have no solution? Because the square root can never equal the negative number. Okay, 37. So there's this one. To solve for x, I'm going to divide by 10. So I have the square root of x plus 2 equals 2. Then I'm going to square both sides. Square root and square root goes away. X plus 2 equals 4. Pull it over, x equals 2. But since I squared both sides, I must check it from the original. So I go 10 times the square root of 2 plus 2 equals 20. That's 10 times the square root of 4. Square root of 4 is a 2. I get a 20. Make this nice and neat. Keep your equals 20 over there. Totally works out. Okay? 38, and this is it. Okay, so if you have two square roots in one problem, split those things apart. So 2 squared root of 3x is equal to the square root of 5x plus 7. Now I'm going to square both sides. Now you have to be careful because the 2 has to be squared. So that's a 4. Square root of 3x squared is 3x. That squared is just 5x plus 7. Now I just solve it. So that gives me 12x equals 5x plus 7. Pull the 5x over, I get 7x equals 7. Divide and I get x equals 1. I even powered both sides, so I have to check. So I go 2 square root of 3 times 1 minus the square root of 5 times 1 plus 7 is equal to 0. This is 2 square root of 3 minus the square root of 5 times 1 is 5 plus 7 is a 12. Is that equal to 0? Well, 12 is 2 times 6 and 2 times 3. So those come out. So it's 2 square root of 3 minus 2 square root of 3 equals 0. Totally checks out. That's your answer. Okay? I'm so sorry that was so fast, but you can pause it so it's not that big of a deal. Okay, and it's actually got 10 more problems, and I can't do those. I'm out of time. So you do them, and then if you need help, get help during class. Okay? You guys are awesome. Have a good weekend.